Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration. Glad you could join me as always. And today's topic is going to be about trust. It's my belief that unless you have trust in a relationship, whether it be in an intimate relationship, a business relationship, the relationship with your parents or teachers or mentors, anybody, the foundation of all relationships has to be trust. Because if you don't have that, then everything else is futile or meaningless. Because you never know if what the other person is saying or implying is real or a false impression they want you to perceive for some gain they want from you. So, trust is very important. And to have trust, you must first trust yourself, trust your own judgment, trust your intuition, trust that gut feeling. Don't ignore that. It's very important. So I found this article on the Philosophy Encyclopedia on the internet, and we're going to see what they have to say about trust. But first, smash that like button, subscribe. We have a video coming out every day that I know will help you navigate your life through the rough waters and the storms, which we all have to go through sometimes. Without that, we would have no growth. Okay, let's go. Trust. First published Monday, February 20th, 2006. Substantive revision Monday, August 10th, 2020. Trust is important, but it is also dangerous. It is important because it allows us to depend on others for love, for advice, for help with our plumbing, or what have you, especially when we know that no outside force compels them to give us these things. It must come from within. But trust also involves the risk that people we trust will not pull through for us. Since if there were some guarantee they would pull through, then we would have no need to trust them. Trust is therefore dangerous. What we risk while trusting is the loss of valuable things that we entrust to others, including our self-respect, perhaps, which can be shattered by the betrayal of our trust. Trust is a precious thing. And if you live this life long enough, someone is going to betray your trust, if not more than one someone. And when they do that, it hurts. But you have to be careful if you're not trusting untrustworthy people. I have a tendency to be too trustworthy, and I have been betrayed many times. But in my life, when I was younger, I betrayed people's trust also. So, as they say, what goes around comes around. As I have told you before, whatever you put out in life will come back to you. You reap what you sow, karma, whatever word you want to put on it. It all comes back to you, and you can learn from that. But trust is very important. I have many clients now who give me thousands of dollars before I ever do any work, because they trust me. They trust that I'm going to do it. They trust that I'm going to do a good job. They trust that I will do what I say I'm going to do. When I go to bid a job or to talk to anyone, they believe what I say, not so much by what I say, but because of who I am, because I have been honest with clients for years, over and over again. You can go to someone's house and lay out a great sales line, but if it's coming from a person who has low integrity, people will pick that up. And integrity doesn't mean being perfect. I am far from perfect. It means if you make a mistake, you openly admit it to whoever you've injured by the mistake, and offer to make it right. I mean, we have broken things in people's houses before where they obviously knew we broke it. There have been other times where I broke things and I fixed it and no one would have ever known, but I still told the client because that was not the way this object was when we came into their home. Very important. Now, these things that you do actually help you more than they do the client or the person that you are being honest with. And they project themselves out from you in the future to future people that you meet. So those people know they can trust you. I'm not really sure how it works, but I know that it works. Because when I go to a job, I don't have to lay anything out there like, well, we give great service, or we're honest, or we'll take care of you and you can trust us. No, that is all said on a subconscious level. I don't have to say the words. They understand that by who I am. As I have said before, what you are speaks so loudly I can't hear what you're saying. And as I said, that doesn't mean I don't make mistakes. I do. There have been times when I have bid jobs where I made a mistake and I gave them the price, and it actually hurt me, or I shorted myself. But I already told them what the price was. So even though I made the mistake, I don't come back and say, hey, you know what? That was actually supposed to be $2,500 instead of $2,000. No, I eat it because I gave them the price, and I believe you must be impeccable with your word. Okay, it was my mistake, not theirs. So I don't come back and say, hey, you know what? Actually, that was supposed to be this amount of money. And that doesn't happen too often, fortunately, but I have made those mistakes before. Okay, these things are important, that you stand behind your word, that you are impeccable with your word. These things build trust, and people trust you. You have an aura of credibility when you speak to people, and you don't have to say anything about it. They pick these things up. And the opposite of that is you can go there and be the best salesman, have the best pitch, but if you are an untrustworthy person, people will sense that also. When you leave, they will talk to their wife, let's say, and they'll say, I don't know what it is, but there's something about that man or woman that doesn't feel right. This trust builds an aura around you that precedes your presence or anything that you say. Okay, let's go on and see what else they have to say about trust. Because trust is risky, the question of when it is warranted is of particular importance. In this context, warranted means justified or well-grounded, meaning, respectively, that the trust is rational, e.g., it is based on good evidence, or that it successfully targets a trustworthy person. If trust is warranted in these senses, then the danger of it is either minimized, as with justified trust, or eliminated altogether, as with well-grounded trust. Leaving the danger of trust aside, one could also ask whether trust is warranted in the sense of being plausible. Trust may not be warranted in a particular situation because it is simply not plausible. The conditions necessary for it do not exist, as in the case when people feel only antagonism toward one another. This entry on trust is framed as a response to the general question of when trust is warranted, where warranted is broadly construed to include justified, well-grounded, and plausible. Think about this. When you get your bills in the mail, don't complain about them. That is evidence that people trust you enough to give you a product before you pay for it. You have credit card bills. Many, many people in the United States have credit card bills. Those bills are evidence that people trust you enough to give you goods, services, money in advance, believing you're going to pay that. Those are all evidence of trust. The electric bill is an evidence of trust. The water bill is evidence of trust. Trust in you. And if you adhere to your word and pay the bill on time as you have agreed to do, then you build up trust within yourself. And once again, that projects itself ahead of you when you speak to people. And when you speak, that comes through in your words. Everything is a vibration. The trust you have for yourself emits a certain vibration which precedes you. When you walk into a room and people look at you, they feel this. They don't consciously know this. They don't consciously feel that. They don't consciously feel it, but there's a communication there of who you are, your presence. And that comes from within you. It's very important how you feel about yourself. You can break a trust and justify it. For example, maybe they did something to you. So they didn't pay you for something. So you decide not to complete your part of the deal, which sometimes may be justified and may be the right thing to do. But let's say you betray the trust, the person told you something that was supposed to be held in confidence, but because he didn't pay you for a certain thing, you tell other people, you gossip, you tell this secret, this trust that this man told you, and you justify it because he didn't pay you on another business deal. That is betraying that person's trust. It doesn't hurt him. It doesn't give you the revenge you desire. You know, if you're going to try to seek revenge, you better dig two graves, one for you and one for the other person. Basically, that comes back on you, regardless of what the other person did. You want to keep that in mind when someone betrays your trust. If he has entrusted you with something, that you don't want to betray his trust. Two wrongs don't make a right, as they say. You cannot return evil for good. Evil being a mistake for another mistake. If you knowingly make the mistake consciously, purposely to hurt the other person because he has betrayed your trust. Very important to remember that. I know it's natural, it's human nature to want to get even, but let me tell you, you don't have to get even. Every man will be rewarded with his conception of himself. You don't have to worry about whether man gets what you feel like he deserves. He will get back what he deserves, whether that be good or bad. Okay, what else do we got to say? A complete philosophical answer to the above question must explore the various philosophical dimensions of trust, including the conceptual nature of trust and trustworthiness, the epistemology of trust, the value of trust, and the kind of mental attitude trust is, to illustrate how each of these matters is relevant more than trust is warranted, that is. 1. Plausible. Again, only if the conditions required for trust exist. Some optimism about another one's ability. Knowing that these conditions are requires understanding the nature of trust. 2. Well-grounded. Only if the trustee, the one trusted, is trustworthy, which makes the nature of trustworthiness important in determining when the trust is warranted. Let me tell you this. If you catch someone lying to you and you have been in a relationship with this person for quite some time, I'll guarantee you they have lied to you many times. You have finally just caught them. Now, if the person lies to you and comes back before you catch him, or you are even aware that he or she has lied to you, and they come back and say, I was dishonest with you yesterday about this, that person more than likely is trustworthy because they caught themselves. They lied to you and they either felt guilty about it or they didn't realize they were being dishonest with you. Okay, that happens a lot too. We say things to people and then later we think, well, that really wasn't being honest. And we come back to the person and explain to them what happened. That is a trustworthy person compared to an untrustworthy person. Okay, now you don't want to trust someone who has stolen from you many times or who has lied to you many times and continues to do so. You're just asking to be lied to again or to have your trust broken. We must evaluate if a person is worth trusting or if they are trustworthy, as they say. And you can do that by just getting to know someone, listening to what they say. See if what they say and what they do aligns. Always watch what a person does more so than what they say. But if what they say is congruent with what they do, that is a trustworthy person if it is consistent over a period of time. I have a tendency to trust everyone to a certain degree when I meet them. I have no reason not to trust them. But now when you say, well, how much do you trust them? Would I trust them with my car? No, of course I wouldn't. If I don't know the person, Would I trust them to come into my house at night when everyone's sleeping? No, I wouldn't. Would I trust them with $1,000 laying out on the table if I were gone and I knew they were going to be walking through my house and I did not know who they were? Of course I wouldn't. But I do give them some level of trust before I know anything about them. And why shouldn't I? And why shouldn't you? Because this person has never done anything to you, never done anything wrong, hasn't stolen from you or lied to you. So there is a certain level of trust, but not a profound, strong trust. These trusts take time to develop, and it takes time to develop that, and it is something that can be easily broken like that, and very difficult to regain if you ever can regain a person's trust once you break that. So it's very important to remember that trust is the foundation key of every relationship. So be a trustworthy person, be careful about who you trust, and realize how important trust is. Thank you for joining me. Share this with a friend, smash that like button. If you'd like to get my help personally, Mark's Inspirational Guidance at gmail.com. Have a great day.